But let's get to something else, and that is Jerod Mayo. Do you know how bad it is to be a head coach who takes over for a head coach that had been there a long time?
How bad?
I didn't know this.
How bad is it?
ESPN has a little something on this. They don't think Jerod Mayo is going to have a lot of success as head coach because of the ugly history that applies to these types of situations.
Well, and the previous coach didn't leave the cupboard really stocked for him. You know?
Of the 7 coaches who have replaced predecessors whose tenures were 20-plus years, 5 of them lasted 5 years or fewer. Is that all that different from first-time head coaches, period? Probably not. They write, in some ways, Mayo has the most unenviable of all coaching tasks, replacing Bill Belichick. Regarded by many as the greatest ever, in the place where he won a record 6 Super Bowls, that kind of pressure is why most long-tenured coaches' replacements tend to have brief, forgettable stints. But Belichick's final season in New England was so disastrous that the expectations are lower than they might otherwise be. So, does that buy him more time? Because I think it does. This year, Jerod Mayo as a first-time head coach gets to write off the year. There are not a lot of guys that get that opportunity. Like, oh, you don't have to do anything. Team blows, you'll be fine. I think this year is not going to count against him. And I think that will ultimately help him.
I think they're going to have patience because he's handpicked, and this is the plan that they wanted. This isn't like, Elliott and company and football ops interviewed candidates, and the ownership gave their blessing to hire this certain person from outside the organization. This is one of their own. This is a player. This is a man that they like, and I think that will even help him get more of a chance to succeed than maybe somebody else that came in from the outside. And
I think that's
it's
a
just
bad
not
reason.
working.
If that's the reason, I think it's the wrong reason if that's the reason. If the reason is, hey,
don't you feel that way?
We think I don't yet.
Okay.
I'm not convinced of that. I hope it's not true. I hope that's not the case. Jerod Mayo gets more time because we like him as a guy and he's our friend. That's a horrible reason. If the reason is we think this roster is in need of a lot of upgrades, and we don't think we were able to do it yet, and we didn't get there, we're not going to hold it against the coach yet.
But that's true. Like, okay, so they have spent a lot of money on their own guys, right? We know they spent money. They made a run at 2 high-priced receivers.
Yeah.
They got skunked on both of them. Okay, is that Jerod Mayo's fault? No. You got to get the quarterback up and run and make this an attractive place to come to. That's up to Mayo to do.
Who's at risk of losing their job quicker? Is it the GM or the head coach?
I think it's Mayo, to be honest with you.
GM has pretty much done what he can to this point. And he's put it out there like, we've made the offers. I mean, and okay, we got rid of Judon.
It's hard to look really, really bad really quickly as a GM.
Wolf's going to have Drake May.
Head coaches can blow up.
The only criticism I have of Elliott Wolf right now, how did you not upgrade the tackle position? That's it. Like, you've signed back all your good players, but because if you lost them, you would have to replace them with people. So he needs a break on that. Okay, so you went after Ridley. You went after Ayuk. Big-time names.
Yeah, you struck out on Ridley, didn't spend enough. That's a criticism.
And then you
didn't get tackle help. That's a criticism.
It feels they went all in on Ayuk, and he said no, he don't want to come here. He don't want to come here. So,
but you can spin that as a GM. Hey, we're building through the draft. We're taking this slow. We're going brick by brick here. And then you kind of have Drake May, whether or not he can play, which is 3 years you're going to spend on Drake May to figure out, just like Mac Jones, give the number 3 overall pick 3 years. If you're Jerod Mayo, and I agree with you, the roster not being good enough is going to give him some flexibility. But if he just looks like he's totally in over his head, and you're a dumb team, and you're making boneheaded decisions, and 2 minute drill is a disaster, that's kind of hard to ignore.
My fear would be not that Jerod Mayo is our friend and we like him and he's got such a history here that we want to give him the longest leash in the world. My fear would be that letting him go for that situation that you described, right? Well, we don't want to do it because we think he's going to turn it around. And if we let him go after this, we're going to look bad too for hiring him in the first place. So let's try and see if he can turn it around. Let's give him more of an opportunity to make himself look better and thereby make us look better
Yeah.
for hiring him in the first
Hey, they all
place.
want to look good.
Like that, I hope is not the reason. I feel like some of that's going on with Robert Saleh in New York.
That
Yeah.
guy.
Like they let that guy just keep hanging out there because they know it's another guy they're going to have to fire, and they're going to continue to look bad for hiring bad head coaches.
I think this is make or break year for him. Like, they don't make the playoffs this year, he's out. Like, they went all in on Rodgers. You missed a year with injury. And Brady was even talking about this too. Let's see how he took care of himself. Let's see how anxious he is to get back. When he talks about big quarterbacks, he didn't have Rodgers in like his top 4. He was sitting there with Stephen A. People forget about Aaron because he didn't play a year ago. Let's see how he attacks it. Let's see if that motivates him. Because Brady went through it with the knee. It motivates you to come back and play at a high level. The great ones. We'll see if he's great. I think he's great. Great player. And his statistics and the way he plays stands for itself. Rodgers is a good player. If you can't win with what they built in New York, then it goes to the head coach here. He's going to get the brunt end of it. It ain't going to be Rodgers. It's not going to be Sauce Gardner. Falls on the coach. Should be a badass defense, right? A lot of first-round money in that front 7. Can't block it. We'll see them week 3, Thursday night. Short week. That'll be fun. Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.